What's up guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to start a fan edit by compiling all of your source files, converting them if necessary, and then putting them into your editing software. For me, I use Adobe Premiere, but if you're using something different, it'll be pretty much the same. That's just what I prefer to use. Now, all the programs I use are going to be free, and they're going to be linked in the description if you want to go and get them. This is also geared towards the fan editing community. If you're doing this to make copies of movies and pirate them and whatnot, then that's not good. I don't support that. But we don't do that here. So the other thing I also want to talk about is that this video isn't really going to be a perfect structure, straight to the point. I just want to explain everything I know to be as useful as possible. So if I'm just talking too much about something, definitely just feel free to skip or pause. There's going to be a lot of waiting involved actually with this whole process. You just usually got to dedicate a whole day to getting your source files ready to go before you even think about editing. So it all starts in MakeMKV, which I have right here. You can go ahead and download that. This is free, obviously, like every other program I'm using here, and it's gonna open up blank, but you can do File, Open Disk, and then click on your Blu-ray disc. If you're doing a DVD, it's gonna be similar. I'm not really sure. I don't work with DVDs, but yeah. So start off with, we'll see that there's a bunch of stuff selected here. Most of this is nonsense that you don't need. Some of it is the menu files, which could be useful, I guess. Some of it is like the intro stuff, like the rating of the movie and the copyright info. You might want to put that in your fan edit if you're making your own Blu-ray of it. Up to you, but I'm just going to unselect everything and then only select the actual movie that I need, which in this case I'm technically using a TV show, so there's 2 episodes. You can see there's 13.2 and 13.3 gigabytes, and the reason we know these are the main things we're looking for is just purely off the file size. They're not going to make a movie that's super tiny. Obviously it's going to be super big, probably around like 20 to 30 gigabytes if it's an actual full movie. It depends on the Blu-ray disc. And so once you select that, then you can go ahead and open it, and you'll see that there's going to be a bunch of audio stuff and then even subtitles and whatnot. By default it'll look like this, but I'm just going to go ahead and unselect all, and then I'm going to only check the main DTS HD master audio. Sorry, excuse me. So with the DTS audio, just to give a little bit of a rundown on this type of audio is lossless. It's the master audio DTS, and so with that, we're going to need to do a conversion to get that into our editing software, because you're not really meant to edit it. But some movies might have different audio. Sometimes old movies will just be like Dolby Digital AC3 or just normal DTS, and that's a lot easier to work with usually. But it's always good to stick with the highest quality possible here. And sometimes, yeah, it'll be like Dolby True HD. That's the other version of lossless audio for Dolby Digital. But anyways, once we have what we needed selected, we're going to go ahead and click MakeMKV, and that'll start loading. Now, the reason that you only select one audio is because obviously you only want to edit one audio, but even more importantly, it's just easier to work with once we're using it on our computer, because if you don't unselect everything, then you're going to have to like manually remove it by using a separate program, which is just kind of unnecessary. So then we're going to have it on our computer. Now, actually, there's one thing. I'm not going to show those examples with the Hobbit. I'm just going to show actually the actual Pacific, which is what I had on my MakeMKV. Okay, so actually no, sorry about that, ignore that. So going back to these again, you're going to see you're going to have an MKV on your computer wherever you selected it, and I've renamed it to be organized. It's going to have a weird name at first, and then you can right click it, and if you have this program, Media Info, which I totally recommend, you can click on it and see all the metadata of the file. So I like to view it in text, and you can just see everything. So the basic info at the top, the video track info, and then the audio track info. This is useful just to see the file sizes of it, just if you're curious, and then the bit rates to make sure everything's all good to go. Like if you are gonna re-encode it or convert it later, just useful information. And it's also nice to double check, because we can see if we accidentally left audio tracks in or if we are good to go. In this case, I purposely left this audio track, but you should just see one audio track, which means you're perfect. And so what you can do now is with that, you can go into here, which is Audacity, sorry, and this will be again linked in the description, and you can literally just take the MKV and start dragging it on. Now for me, it's gonna ask which one, because I have multiple, and then this is perfect. This will just load in everything into Audacity. It'll convert the DTS, or not really convert it, but it'll import it so that it can be read by this program, and then you can export it however you like. Now, you're going to probably need the FFmpeg plugin with Audacity, and that's super easy to install, and you pretty much should have that if you're going to be even using Audacity in the first place. I'm going to click stop though, because I'm not going to do the full thing, but you'll see something like this. It'll be really long. If your computer is kind of slow, you're going to struggle with this, unfortunately, but most people should be good. So here we are in Audacity, and first thing you'll notice is that the top thing right here, this is a stereo track, and these two are combined for some reason. That's just because Audacity tries to load the 5.1 audio in as, you know, multi-track, and it puts the stereo, but then it realizes, oh shoot, we can't really do that. So then it just throws everything in mono down below. I assume that's why it does it. So just to undo that, you're gonna click here and click split stereo to mono. Now everything will be a mono track, which is perfect. You can go ahead, click export, export multiple, and then select where you want to do it. And then you're going to want to do wave sine 24-bit PCM. Now that's because DTS master audio is 24-bit. So if you're going down to 16, you're going to be losing data. If you're going up to 32, that's just unnecessary because you don't need to do that. I mean, I guess technically you could do that just if you're a real audio nut, but I would not do that. It's not really necessary, and the file size is just going to be even bigger. So yeah, you would export that, and you can also split tracks by whatever. Sorry, you want to split it based on the tracks, and then when it's going to ask you this, you can change how you want to name them. Personally, I usually just go here. Oops. And sorry, I go here, and then I change the name to what the track is. Now, if you don't know what each track is, from top to bottom, it's going to go left front, right front, center, LFE, left back, and then right back. So it's always going to be that order, and you're going to want to export it in that order, which by default it will be in that order, and you're going to be good to go. So now I can close out of Audacity. Let's pretend we exported that audio, and then let's go to this. And so you're going to see something similar to this. It's going to look messy on my screen. Just ignore everything else. You'll have 6 wave files right here. This is your audio, and that is perfect, and it's good to go into Premiere. No quality was lost at all. So now we can focus on the video, because you'll probably be wondering, well, what about the MKV itself? So with this, what we're going to use is FFmpeg, which is a command-based converting program. Now I'm going to pull that up right here. All you're going to want to do is look up a tutorial, I guess, to install it. It's super easy. You just download the assets for it and put it in your disk drive, and then you'll see something similar to this. I have added a couple text files just for my just for commands that I want to remember. You might be a little bit scared by this if you're not used to using the command prompt, but it's super easy. All we're going to do is just drag our file into here. This might take a while. Oh, no, perfect. Okay, so it's into here now. I usually rename it then actually to just something simple like movie.mkv or video, whatever. And then what you do is hold shift, right click, open PowerShell window, give it a second, and then we're going to get ready to type in our command. This is going to take the MKV, or it's going to take the video inside of the MKV and put it into an MP4 without losing quality. This is because inside Blu-ray files and MKVs here in this instance, it's just going to be an H.264 video file. Now, some Blu-rays, like in very rare cases, are not going to be H.264, but pretty much that's what you're always going to have, which is easy to work with. But there might be a problem that you'll run into, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But for now, we just want to get this MKV into MP4 so that we can edit it, as we all know. So this is the command that you're going to want to use. You can see that there's this little -an, which is removing the audio. That is because we obviously already dealt with the audio, and so we don't need to mess with any of that. So yeah, you're going to put this into here. It's going to be in the description if you want to copy and paste it. Obviously, fill out the name for what you want to put your files as. Then press enter. It's going to probably take like between 10 to 30 minutes depending on how long the movie is, and then it'll output right into this very same folder. It's important that you have the video in the same folder when you do this command, or else you're going to need to specify where it's located here, which is going to be kind of annoying. So yeah, then after this, you will have your MP4. Now, you know how to load an MP4 into Premiere. Obviously, you just drag and drop it. If you do run into this glitch where your video is decoding improperly and it's like glitching out, there's just weird bugs on the screen, like the pixels are just messed up. It'll be very easy to tell. If you notice it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't notice anything, don't worry about this. But let's say that you do run into that issue, you're unfortunately gonna have to probably transcode the H.264 codec inside of this MKV into something different. And in this case, the best possible thing that you can do is put it into either ProRes or DNxHR. These are visually lossless codecs. Yes, there's technically data loss, and I know everybody dislikes transcoding and re-encoding, but it just has to be done sometimes. And I've set up the command perfectly. This is what you're going to want to do, for standard Blu-ray footage, 8-bit colors, and that's all you got to do. So this will again be in the description. Now be warned, when you do this command, it's going to take your MKV, it's going to convert it, which yes, technically, converting loses quality, except it doesn't. In this case, it's going to be visually identical, I promise you. It's going to make the file size ridiculously huge. So in my case, I have an external hard drive that I use to just store my source files. You can see the Hobbit stuff all right here, gigantic. This is only temporary. Once you're finished with the project, you can even delete it if you're sure you're finished. But this really just has to be done. Sometimes when your video is glitching, I don't know why it happens. So far, like 4 out of the 5 Blu-rays that I've tried to edit or whatever, or done projects with, I didn't have this issue. It was just with the Hobbit that was being really annoying. And I tried every other fix in the book. If you have something new to bring to the table, like a new fix, then definitely let me know. But that's going to be it for the video. So actually, I'm going to keep this open. I'll put those in the description. We can close out of FFmpeg now. We're done with that. And you can either get rid of your MKV or store it. I like to store it here. You can see I have an archive in case something goes wrong, in case I figure out a new fix to that bug I was talking about. I want to have my original stuff without having to go and pull out the disk and whatnot. So we're done with FFmpeg, and now we have our source file. So going back to this specific folder, this has my audio, and then down here, these are the MP4s, and we can load that into Premiere. Now, with that, I'm going to open up Premiere, and this is just going to be a project that I've already started. One thing I want to pull up now, here we go, is this tutorial. So this tutorial is going to show you how to take, let me see right here, take these 6 WAV files and put them into Premiere. So go ahead and watch this. It'll be in the description. It's a long video, but you just got to watch the full thing, because throughout the video, it's kind of like a lesson. He teaches you a bunch of stuff, and he teaches you why you don't want to do it a certain way. And then at the end, he shows you the actual way. So if you just watch like a minute, you're not really going to get anything out of it. But regardless, once you have that pulled up, here we go. Let's get this. 1 second. So you will see in the tutorial, you will get a sequence with all 6 audio tracks, your 5.1 audio loaded in, and then you go to your movie sequence, and what you can do is you can drag in that sequence, sort of like it's nested, and then you will have, hold on, okay, and then you'll have your audio right here, and this acts as one track right here. So you can see, for example, a transition right here that I did. This is just very easy to work with when everything's all combined like this, and of course you can do keyframe work, which I've done. But yeah, now it's very easy to work with that audio this way. At least I enjoy doing it this way. If you want it individually, just straight up edit it this way, like you can probably figure that out with a different tutorial, like when everything's split up. But you can't put your video on this sequence because it's not properly panned right here. It's hard to explain, but regardless, then to load in your video, just literally drag and drop it. You all know how to do that. And of course, since you haven't messed with any of the lengths of anything, they will be lined up by default. It's sure the video is not technically connected to the audio, but that doesn't matter for our purposes because we're editing it, and when we're done, then we'll deal with combining the video and audio into one file. And that's going to be pretty much it, I guess, because that's how we got everything ready into our program. Just to summarize, I was able to take a Blu-ray disc, put it on my computer into an MKV file, take the MKV file, convert the audio into waveform 24-bit, which is lossless. I didn't even mention that, but the reason we're using waveform is because it's lossless and it doesn't lose any quality. Actually, I guess I did mention that when you convert it. So the audio is perfect. If you're an audio guy, then this is good for you. And then for the video, I was able to just rewrap it in an MP4, no conversion. Technically, like they call it like remixing it, but it's not actually converting the codec, so you don't lose any quality with the video either. And you can see I have it right here, perfectly good to go to edit. And you know what? I said I was gonna talk about this in part 2 when you export, and what you do with that, but I'll briefly touch on it right now. So let's say you finish your edit. We're gonna go to export it. The first thing you'll do is the video. Whoops. So we'll just go, I like to use H.264. I'm not going to talk too much about the video, but I separate the audio because I do it separately. So uncheck the audio, video, just keep everything the same. I always do 2-pass. And then for my bitrate, it really just depends what file size you want. You know, if you want to keep it pretty close to the original quality, you know, like 12-ish to 15-ish is a good bet. And then maximum bitrate, you can just put like way higher, and that's good to go. And if your video file ends up looking too big, then you can always decrease it. If you feel like, you know what, it's only 9 gigabytes, I'm fine with making it 15, then definitely just up the bitrate. That's all that matters. And then these settings right here, just ignore use maximum render quality. Don't get tricked by this. This is if you're going to be resizing and scaling your videos. So if you're doing a bunch of upscaling, like say you're like an entire movie upscaled from 1080p to 4K, I mean, maybe you'd use that then, but for me, I'm not going to ever use that really. Then there's also one other setting, render at maximum depth. You don't have to do this if you're going to be working with like multiple colored bit depths or whatever. Then you can mess with this and use it. Basically, if you know what it is, then you can use it, but just don't get tricked by it and think that it makes it better quality. You know, we're just working with normal 8-bit color Blu-ray footage, and we're not doing any wild color adjustment, so just don't mess with that. Now that's the video done. Whoops. Okay, and so then you can choose where you wanted to put it and then export it. But for the audio, I just like to go back to our classic waveform. This is checked, obviously. Then I go down to this. No, actually, it does give me the option of exporting as 5.1. That's perfect. Then you can do 24-bit and then export as each as a separate file. Now this is just the part that's a little bit weird. If you just do it all together as a 5.1 file, sure, you have a wave that's 5.1, but it doesn't really work with anything, and it's not really meant for playback. It's not really going to work that well, like if you're going to put it in an MP4. So you're going to want to convert it to something like AC3 or DTS, which is going back. Remember, at the start of the video, we started at that, we edit it, and then now we come back to it at the very end. So I don't want to have it all combined into one file. I just make it easy on myself. I export as a separate file. So then I get another new 6 audio channels right here, or audio tracks, and then I use a separate program, which if you're going to want to do DTS HD Master Audio, which is what we started with, then definitely check out my other tutorial video. I show how to do that perfectly. Just do this and export here, and then follow that next video. If you don't feel like getting the DTS encoder, then what you can even do is just go to Audacity and then load them back in like you used to, and you can do export, and you can do export audio, and then it will allow you to do the AC3 option, which is Dolby Digital, and that will be good to go. And of course, you can even just look up your own program. By now, if you finished your fan edit and you've already done all this, you should know what you're doing somewhat, and you can figure it out for yourself. Just get the audio into a good format, and so then, of course, in the end result, we'll have a separate video and audio file. So like, I guess I can't really show an example, but I mean, we're going to need to combine that video and audio file. So to do that, you can just use our trusty FFmpeg, which I don't have the command pulled up right here. Where is it? So it's going to be like, sorry, I'm just going to make it from scratch. This is, you're going to export it obviously as an MP4, and then you're going to take your audio, let's just say it's AC3 or whatever, copy it, and then MP4, sorry. And whoops, we can get rid of that. So this would be your command if you're just going to be doing, let's see, let me just double check, did I? Yeah, okay. So this is going to be your command, which I'll have in the description if you're going to combine your MP4 and audio. If it doesn't work, just let me know. But the other thing with this is, if you wanted to do DTS HD, say you use my tutorial, it's probably going to run into an error, which means we're going to have to use a different program. So, pulling up our trusty MKV tool next. This will allow you to just do it much easier. You don't even need FFmpeg. In fact, you can do this for any audio. It's just the downside is that you don't have any other output other than an MKV. So if you want to keep it as an MP4, which you don't really need to, people can always open MKVs. Just use this program. So for example, we just drag it in. You would drag your audio in, drag your whatever in, and then you can see it. So it shows all your files here, and you can just check what you want, uncheck what you don't want. You can even add chapters here, and you can also even add subtitles built in. So like, I'm not going to show it in this video actually, but you would just drag and drop the subtitle file into here, then click start multiplexing, and then boom, you have an MKV which can have multiple audio tracks, chapters, subtitles all in one file, perfect to upload online and share to other fan editors. So thank you for watching. This was probably a long video. I hope I went over everything well and was just useful. If you have any questions, definitely let me know in the comments. I'll try to respond to everybody. And yeah, peace.